Okay, very nice. Now we're going to talk about the open with impact. So the first thing I want to talk about with this open with impact is what you should not do. So in this class, I absolutely forbid you opening a speech with a rhetorical question. So it's a very common high school technique. And I think even some high school instructors teach it, and it really does very little to help promote the positive impact of a speech. So do not open your speech with an open with impact. So if my speech was on the Steelers. So how many of you have heard of the wonders of the Steelers in the 1970s? And if I'm good at it, I'll at least raise my hand as I'm looking for my audience to sort of participate with me as I ask that question. Here's the problem with rhetorical questions. Typically what happens is through that process of bringing a topic to somebody, I highlight whether they are or are not interested in the topic within the first few seconds of my speech. And inherently, there's going to be probably at least 50% of the audience that isn't interested in a speech on the Steelers. And probably even more than that, because even football fans, some football fans have very, very strong feelings against the Steelers, and they don't want to listen to 6 to 8 minutes of a team that they hate. So it typically highlights and makes a polemic, polls, the for and against. It actually makes it more extreme. So you don't really want to start off with that. And on top of that, it's also lazy. So any speech, you give me a topic, Kleenex. How many of you have ever had to use a Kleenex when you're feeling sick? Right? I can write a rhetorical question like this. It's lazy. It doesn't really actually accomplish anything. So I forbid rhetorical questions. I think the open with impact is worth 10 points. If you open with a rhetorical question, you get 0 out of 10. Also, I don't want close cousins to that, where you start off with things like, all of us love the Pittsburgh Steelers. You start off with an assumption like that. Or now I know many of us have heard about the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's really just a rhetorical question, but it's couched in an assumption instead. So I've told you what I don't want you to do. What I do want you to do is start off with an open with impact using one of these 3 tools, either a story, a list, or a quotation. Do not start with a rhetorical question. Either use a story, a list, or a quotation. And the next little mini lecture, we'll talk about how to do each one of those things well.